I'm doing this video today for you if you're interested in learning French, if you've already started, or you haven't started before, you have zero experience learning French, but you're interested. I'm doing this video because I've noticed online that everyone posts exactly what they succeed in, but they don't post when they fail. They don't show you all the failures they had, all the learnings they had, up until their big success. Because if they just post all the successes, they look great, yeah? Me or you, we watch the video, we listen to their stuff, they tell us how good they are and how much success they've had, and we think to ourselves, wow, like, I don't have that success. I don't know how to get that success. I don't see people around me with that success. How do they do it? Well, here's the thing, they don't. They have failure before then. They just don't want to show that because from their point of view, then they would think that, oh, people aren't going to see me as this person that's so much better than everyone else, and they're not going to see me as this perfect person. Well, for me personally, here on YouTube and Instagram, with helping you learn French, I don't care if you think I'm not a perfect person, because I'm not. No one is. Anyone who wants others to think that they're perfect, I think it's a bit weird. It's a strange thing to want. I don't care about it. I'm here to help you because a few years ago, I was in your position where I hadn't learned French completely. I hadn't achieved my goals with French, and it was annoying me. And on the internet, it was hard to find people who I could listen to, who I could really trust to give it good advice. But here, I hope to give that to you. So I'm helping out my former self, and in the process, I'm going to be able to help you much better because I know exactly what you need to do in order to learn French, in order to achieve all your goals in the shortest period of time possible, while not lying to you, being upfront with you. So in this video, we're going to talk about my failures, comment j'ai raté avec le français auparavant. This is my experience with French. At primary school and high school, I didn't learn French. Our classes that we had in the school system were Italian and Japanese. So I tried those, failed them both miserably. I've mentioned in my other videos, really bad failure. Grammar lessons, vocabulary lists, other boring stuff, didn't work at all. So I thought, oh, I'm 18 years old, just finishing school, I got no chance, I can't learn a second language. But it always interests me. Like most people, you're interested about other cultures, you're interested about other cultures, other people, other countries, you want to go traveling, you want to meet people, you want to have interesting experiences. I said, hey, school system didn't work. Why don't I try, a private tutoring course? So I tried that. Didn't work. It was in the city, in the classroom. I went and then tried a university course, a short one. Didn't work either. Then I tried Duolingo. Didn't work. And then I said, okay, well, none of that's worked. I'm going to try something completely new. I'm going to focus on phrases, conversations, stories, videos, other things that actually interest me. And once I started focusing on that, through one particular textbook that I've also mentioned in other videos, it's called Assimil. I'll put a link in the description, you can check it out. And I've got another video as well where I run through exactly how I use it. It's actually my first video on my YouTube channel. And that one's really good. I started with that. I used it for the first 3-4 months. It was doing really good, okay? And I continued with that. Then I moved to YouTube and Netflix videos afterwards, after I had 3-4 months of really good reading and listening at the same time. Once I moved to YouTube and Netflix, I'd basically learnt how to learn French. I knew how to do it. Now, that meant that I could speak fluently within 1 year. So, in 1 year, I went from a low level of French, not really knowing how to do it, not being able to speak well, not being able to read full sentences, not being able to do what I want with my French, which is, watching videos, learning about things that I want, and speaking with people in public as well that are French. I go out and I speak with, say, backpackers here in Australia. 2, in 1 year, becoming fluent. Now, I say that I'm fluent in 1 year, which is true, I am. Because I really did start from zero and I went to fluency in 1 year. However, the previous 2 years with private language classes, university course, Duolingo, books, other useless methods that I've done, I've tried basically every single method of learning French, and they didn't work. Right, there's only a few that worked, and it's just what I've talked about there. Assimil book, focus on phrases, conversation, stories, and then YouTube videos and Netflix only after having done those phrases at the start. So all those failures I had, let's go through them in detail because no one talks about it. Lots of language YouTubers, people who post videos, they talk about their experience, but they just talk about what worked for them, exactly how they did it. But they don't explain their failures, they just talk about their success. So let's do that. Now, private language classes. So what does that look like? So I live in Australia, always have. I'm down in Melbourne, and we have private language classes, and they're essentially like a classroom, more like a tutor room. So whatever country you're from, doesn't matter. You could relate it to, it's basically like a classroom of, say 10 to 15 people, 5 to 15, 5 to 20 people, and you'll have half an hour classes, and this could be 2 times a week. It could be once on the weekend and then once a weekday, or even 2 times a weekday. It's maximum 3 times a week, so every second day basically. And you'll sit down, and in these classrooms they'll give you a sheet of paper and you'll have exercises for the day basically. Now, these exercises, they're okay. They're not the worst, to be honest. They're not the worst. However, why private language classes don't work is that when people take them, they think, alright, if I have an hour class every 2 days, so 3 hours in the week, I'm going to be able to learn French. No. You need half an hour every day instead of an hour every second day. That's the first problem. Repetition is key because we need your brain to be switched on every day for French. You can't have days off. You need at least 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes every single day for French to progress. And this doesn't mean that it's going to be boring and repetitive, just like it is for school. You can come up with your own learning, okay? You can decide exactly what you want to learn with your French. You can make it exciting, you can make it interesting. It's exactly what I did. That's the first problem, repetition. And the second problem is that you're surrounded by people at different French levels. And in that 1 hour, it's not 1 hour of focused study with you and the tutor. Now it can be, but you have to pay a lot more money. If you want someone one-on-one for an hour, a tutor, it's going to be more money than the private language classes that you take. Alright? And here's the thing, you're in the classroom, you're surrounded by people who are at all different levels, and they're going to be talking to the teacher. And you have a question, you're going to sit there, and you got to ask the question, but then someone else asks the question. And your time's constantly getting interrupted. You don't have someone there where you can really fire off questions to them. It doesn't work, okay? Now, we're going to move into the second issue that I had with learning French, what I did, right? University course. Failure. Complete. Now, this is why. You essentially have the same thing, except it's even more strict in terms of the sheets that they give you. Because you got to remember as well, like I've talked about for school, check out my last video, talk about why 99% of people fail their French class. It's very simple. Learning method's key. For the learning method, if the school can't easily put a tick or a cross, a 1 mark, 2 marks, or 0 mark next to your answers to the questions, they don't want it. And what that means is there's no room for you to explore areas you enjoy with your French. And when you improve your French, they're not going to like it because it's hard for them to grade. Like if you're reading a book, if you're reading just say, let's say a story. You read a story, it's 2 pages long, a short story. If you understand 40% or 60% or 80%, how do you mark that? You can't. It's subjective, right? It's just in your brain. You just know, oh, I understood that. Oh, I can speak, and I can speak maybe 60%. of that well, 80% of that well. You can't grade that. But if they come up with some fill in the gap exercise, right, where you just put in one word or you translate something, easy. That's easy to grade. That's the problem with the university course and the private classes as well, that it's often focused on things that they can easily mark and correct. And we don't want that. We want creativity. We want exercises that are actually going to improve your French towards your goals. Because your goal isn't to learn French to understand the grammar better, or to be able to do a vocabulary list the best, right? To translate all of the colours perfectly in French, to translate all of the different types of animals that are native to France and all this other silly stuff. We don't care about that, right? We want to be able to read well, speak well, whenever we want, when we're walking down the street, when we're at a cafe in Paris, right? When we're talking with our family, if we have friends that are French, we want to be able to do things that are exciting and are enjoyable with our French. We want to be able to watch our favourite TV series, our favourite movie in French, read whatever we want in French, learn whatever we want on YouTube with French. And that's why we don't care about grammar exercises, okay? Now, the third failure I had was using Duolingo. Now, Duolingo, as a starting method, it's alright. It's not going to do you any harm. The app Duolingo is good to get people engaged to learning French. And I've explained in another video exactly why Duolingo, I think it's really bad in terms of a primary learning method. Now, if you want, you can have it on for 5-10 minutes a day. It's not going to do harm. However, if it's the only thing you're doing for your French, it will do harm. It will do harm because if you continually do it and you get little progress every day with your Duolingo, you may start to feel that, oh, I'm progressing with Duolingo. I don't need another way to learn French. I don't need to be doing phrases, conversations, stories, focusing on things that are a little bit outside of my comfort zone. That can become bad. Simply because we need to be pushing ourselves every day, little by little. Duolingo, I've used it, it doesn't do that, right? You've got little phrases and little sentences you can fill out, and hey, it's fun to play on. It is. However, it doesn't have things in context. Now, what I mean by in context is, if it has a sentence, say, Le petit garçon marche sur la rue. And let's say that you had to put in the word boy, so you'd put in garçon. Problem with that is, you have one sentence like that, then the next sentence you have it about another thing, then the next sentence about another thing, next, and it's all broken up into little pieces, just like stars in the sky. We don't want stars, right? We want a moon. We want a sun. We want to have this moon being a story, a conversation, an idea, a newspaper article, ideas that are linked, sentences that follow one after another. Because in that bulk of text, there's words you're not going to understand, there's phrases you're not going to understand. And let's say if there's 100 words in a 5-line or 5-sentence short story, you might understand 60%. All right, so let's say that 40% of the words you didn't know, 40 words you had no idea. But because there's 60 that you know, you can fill in the gaps on the others, and you'll remember from the first sentence to the last sentence, it's connected. It's all connected. Even if one sentence focuses on one thing and another sentence focuses on another, they're still in the same context. And that's good, because then for your brain, you've got 5 sentences to refer to. You've got 100 words to refer to. You've got a story to refer to. But the problem is with Duolingo is you've got 1/5 of a story, 1/5 of a story, 1/5 of a story, half of a story, 1/4 of a story. It doesn't work. They don't join together. And with our brains, in terms of memory and being able to recall on that memory and use it in the future stories and conversations we listen to, you need to have that flow of sentences, that flow of phrase. And with that, Duolingo doesn't give it. It doesn't give it simply because it's short, sharp, dopamine hits, right? It's easy to use, it's fun. And that's good for real beginners. But if you want to progress seriously, you've got to move off Duolingo, you've got to start getting in phrases, okay? So yes, those are the 3 key failures that I had with my French. Now, here's another general failure that I had, okay? And I'll do another video on this in a few weeks, because I think it's important. But things that I thought I knew that I didn't, right? I thought that you had to learn grammar. I learnt grammar as well. That's another one. That'd be a fourth failure that I had. Learning grammar. You don't have to learn grammar. I have a grammar book. I used it for the first, because it was really like, I had 2 years of failure learning French, trying all those things I just talked about, private tutoring, university, Duolingo, and then grammar, other things as well. I had 2 years of that failure, and then I had the 1 year of success where I moved to phrases, conversations, and everything that I promote for you guys and girls on this channel, on my Instagram page as well. And with the grammar, I would do that. I would, read about the rules, do line after line after line after line of boring exercises I didn't care about. And I thought it was helping me, honestly. I thought it was helping because I would then say, pull up Duolingo, and then I would read a sentence and I'd go, oh, like, that actually makes sense. Like, I know that word should be there and that word should be there. That's good, that's good. The problem is, I was spending half an hour on grammar, and in this half an hour, I might learn, 2 sentence structures, or let's say 3 sentence structures. Every 10 minutes, I learnt a new sentence structure. And yeah, okay, that's all right. But if I spent that half an hour reading and listening to a phrase in French, in half an hour, I could do a phrase a minute. I could do, how many? 3 phrases a minute, I reckon. So I could get in 90 phrases, right? 90 verse 2, that's how I see it. 90 verse 3. If you got 3 sentence structures in that you learnt for grammar, so 3, verse 9, 0, right? 90 verse 3, that's how I'd see it. So I'm getting 30 times the value with my phrase and conversation story study work, instead of just the 3 phrase structures that I get with my grammar. And that's what I've realized now. You shouldn't do grammar, because when you get 90 phrases in, you're going to learn the grammar anyway. And you'll learn the important part, the part that matters, which is just understanding the phrase. And while you're understanding the phrase, you're reading it, 1. 2, you're listening. And the third thing is you're doing both at the same time. So with that, you're actually getting double. So I'd almost say you're getting 180 inputs for 3, because you're not listening when you're doing a grammar book. It's simply just reading, and it's not even a sentence, right? It's just a grammar structure. You might be reading the rule of it, then you might have a couple little examples, so you might get some phrases there, but it's not exciting. And then like I talked about before with Duolingo, how it breaks things up, that's exactly what grammar does. It doesn't give you a whole story that's exciting with audio, with different characters that talk about different things that interest you, such as traveling, food, wine, anything else you like with French, with the culture, the language. No, it just gives you boring sentences you don't really care about, super dry. On the other hand, 90 sentences, 90 phrases you can get in half an hour. This could be 3 different stories with 30 sentences each. It could be a story about Monsieur Duclos qui va à café à Paris, ou à Lyon, à Nice, qui va à la plage à Nice par exemple, qui boit du café, qui parle, qui fume avec ses amis. Beaucoup plus intéressant. 1,000 times more interesting than anything you could ever come up with your grammar. And you got 3 times that. And then you're listening to it as well. Obviously that's enjoyable. You got the different accents. You can learn about that. You've got the different cultural ways that they speak, that they even just engage with each other, right? You got different characters interacting. You can picture it as well. You can find videos on YouTube like this as well, where there's stories and conversations, and it's interesting. Beats it every time. Now, that's it for today's video. Hope that's helpful. I think it would be for me of 3 years ago before I even got started with this, right? Remember, I had two years of failure, 1 year of success, And most people on the internet, they'll just show the 1 year of success. They won't show the 2 years of failure. And I'm here to show that because I think I'm being honest with you. I think it's going to help you. And it means that when you're starting something, you're going to fail at the start, right? If you don't fail, you don't learn. So with me here, I want to get you learning and get you on that path to success as early as possible. So that's where I help anyone out who's serious about learning their French, right? About achieving all their goals in the fastest time period possible. So if that sounds like you, I work one-on-one with people to build out their roadmap to achieving their French goals, where they currently are, where they want to be, and then how to get there, that path to get there. Because I'm already there, et je suis ici pour t'aider. If that sounds good, you can book a one-on-one call with me right away. Head over to my Instagram. If you got any questions, you can message me there. More than happy to chat. Here to help you guys out. Have a terrific day.